Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is David Novak. Earlier this year, I finished reading Gibbon's The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. An awful lot of the later history of that book was incomprehensible to me. It covered such a wide swath of territory and a lot of peoples and events that it was just too hard to synthesize. But I knew one thing from that experience, which was that I wanted to learn more about the Mongols. And I am finding now at this juncture in The Kingdom of Acre by Stephen Runciman that he gives a very lovely introduction. They have appeared on the scene and will be making their impact felt upon both the Christian and the Muslim world. I've hesitated thus far to buy any books about the Mongols. I don't know who's a good author, and the books I've seen do not come cheaply. That will not deter me if I'm pretty convinced that the author is somebody that I want to read. And there is an author named Peter Jackson who has a couple of books out actually addressing those topics. The Mongols and the West is one of his titles, and The Mongols and Islam is another of his titles. I suppose we need The Mongols and China or something like that. So it sounds like it would be a good place to start, but I'm not there yet. The idea of allocating the time is for sure not something I can think about at this time with so many other things on my plate. But so this introduction is brief, and there are two paragraphs which stand out that I just find spectacular. Of course, this is not a new text anymore, and so I'm sure Runciman may well make assertions which have been superseded. That's fine. Perhaps I will one day read Peter Jackson, and then I will have better information at hand. But let me just read you these two paragraphs, which I find so helpful. Genghis Khan's empire was basically a conglomeration of clans. He made no attempt to interfere with the old organization of the tribes as clans under hereditary chieftains. He merely superimposed his own family, the Altin Uruk, or Golden Clan, and set up a central government controlled by his own household and familiars, and he placed under the free clans large numbers of slaves taken from the tribes that had resisted him and been conquered. Serfs in thousands were given to his relations and friends. At the Kurultai of 1206, his mother, Hoelun, and his brother, Temugay Ochin, were each given 10,000 families as chattels, and his young sons 5,000 or 6,000 each. Tribes and even cities that submitted to him peaceably were left without interference, so long as they respected his overriding laws and paid to his tax collectors the heavy tribute that he demanded. To bind his countries together, he promulgated a code of laws, the Yasa, which was to supersede the customary laws of the steppes. The Yasa, which was issued in installments throughout his reign, laid down specifically the rights and privileges of the clan chieftains, the conditions of military and other services due to the Khan, and the principles of taxation, as well as of criminal civil and commercial law. Supreme autocrat though he was, Genghis intended that he and his successors should be bound by the law. As soon as the administration of his empire was arranged, Genghis set about its expansion. He had now a large army to whose organization he had also given careful attention. Every tribesman between the ages of 14 and 60 was by Mongol and Turkish tradition liable to military service, and the great annual winter hunting expeditions necessary for providing meat for the army and the court served as maneuvers to keep the soldiers in training. By temperament, the tribesmen were used to give to their leaders an unquestioning obedience, and the leaders, from bitter experience, knew that they must now obey the Khan. His subjects had also, like all nomadic tribes, a yearning to move beyond the horizon, and a fear lest their pasture lands and forests should be exhausted. The Khan offered them new countries and great booty and hordes of slaves. It was an army of cavalry, archers, and lancers mounted on swift ponies, men and beasts accustomed from birth to hard living and to making long journeys across deserts with very little food and drink. Such a combination of speed and movement, discipline and vast numbers had never before been known. So that is the two paragraphs which really I found startlingly crisp. And I'm so happy to be reading this book.